request, Vaghela, if you could share your initial thoughts on how are you seeing this entire space on A2P, not only A2P messaging, but also some of the challenges and solutions that you think will drive digital experiences ultimately for customers. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much and welcome everyone over here. See, what is the biggest disaster which one can have in modern times? That is, losing the mobile. If you lose your mobile, that will be the biggest disaster. But it's not necessary that disaster will wait to visit you, and for you to lose the mobile. Even with mobile with you, the disaster can visit. So this is the biggest problem of economy which gets digitalized, and whether we like or not, and this is a problem which is becoming international in nature. It is borderless. Previously we thought that if we have some sort of regulations over here, or we can have some laws, we can handle the problem of phishing, spam, identity theft, and fraudulent transactions. It is no more. So how to go about this? See, my take on this is that whatever the regulators do, the spammers and the people who indulge in phishing and fraudulent transactions are going to be at least 2 steps ahead of us. And if we think that we can use the new technologies to handle this kind of stakeholders, they can also use the new technology. And we all know they are using AI, and they are using all kind of technologies. So what is the strategy? So now we had a conference, and we thought that the strategy is not to fight with them. We have to have two-pronged strategy. One, we have to work with the spammers. We have to help them so they can reach out to the consumers on whom they want to contact, and whom they want to send the message. Of course, with the consent of the consumers and subscribers. This is one thing. And secondly, naturally, those who wants to reach out to someone, wants to indulge in fraudulent transactions, want to want to do identity thefts, I think they have to be dealt very heavily by the law. And when I say this, it is easier said than done. So what TRAI did, and I should actually give the credit to Mr. Bajpai, who is sitting over here. Mr. Bajpai and Mr. R.S. Sharma and Mr. Kadian, I think these were the officers when this this regulation was brought in to control the unsolicited commercial transactions. And that they use the blockchain. I think they will talk more about the technical aspect, and it has worked very, very well. And we have got the initial details, and we have been able to curb spams to a large extent. There are challenges, and let me tell you, I was talking to some of the regulators when we had a international conference over here, and last time I went to Barcelona. I think most of the regulators are really worried that how to handle this issue. So this two-pronged strategy I talked about, and much more than that, I think we require international collaborations with the regulators. And when I say regulators, not only telecom regulators, we require international collaborations with related regulators. That is also very, very important. So before I finish, I will tell what are the challenges, some of the challenges. So one which I told that not everyone is coming on the platform. They have not registered themselves. So this use of 10-digit numbers by unregistered entities is the biggest problem. I think I receive every day 10, 15 such messages. They want to they're sending messages to us, and when we block them, they start using the second message. So this is a very, very big challenge. How to how to handle this. So here TRAI is working with the telecom operators and other people to use artificial intelligence and machine learning. This is one technique we can use to find out the people who are using 10-digit mobile numbers on large scale and using the kind of boxes, and then hitting the the consumers with number of messages and at the same time. So here I think AI and ML can be used. We have worked a lot on this, and I think we will find able to find out a solution. Second problem is weak KYC system. I think the this another problem which we have, and there is a lot of problem in finding the actual person who has indulged in fraudulent transactions. And I'm very happy that DOT has developed AIML based telecom analytics and fraud management and consumer protection portal, and also one portal called Astra. And a lot of activities and lot of actions have been taken. I think what we need is to that there should be unified KYC system, and we need to put this unified KYC system at one place. So all the telecom operators can use that. This we are going to handle in one of the consultation paper, which we are going to issue on, this compulsory caller ID, display. So that, this issue we have discussed and will be handling. Second is, so this I already talked, that not knowing the name of the caller. So, this consultation paper will bring out, and let us see. There one issue is there of that, how to handle the issue of privacy. I don't want my number to be displayed to the person whom we are talking to. So that issue, I think, is slightly difficult, but I think we'll issue the consultation, we'll come to know. The, the fourth challenge, which is with the intermediary telemarketers. These are the people, who pump messages through delivery aggregators. They, many times manipulate headers and messages templated for their use. This is, I think, we need to stop these practices, and we need to work with the principal entities, telecom operators, and AI-based solution providers. It's easy to, detect this kind of, intermediate telemarketers and then take action. The fifth challenge is, naturally, I have talked about this, fraudulent type communication is a very, very big problem. And recently, I think RBI and financial institutions have taken a lot of steps. One is, two-way OTP verification, change of password at regular intervals, instantaneous stop payment. Recently, I was reading in one of the DGP, he has created a portal that if your money has been, someone has defrauded you, if immediately you go on the portal and give the details, they will stop the payment immediately. This they have worked with the bankers. I think more such solution requires to be found. So and we also have now, TRAI has taken a leadership, and we formed a joint committee, coordination committee of regulators with RBI, Central Bank of India, that is, and Ministry of Consumer Affairs, SEBI, and TRAI. We are at the member. And in the discussion, there is a lot of encouraging, discussion has taken place. We'll be working more. One aspect is that we can leverage the data which is created under UCC. This is, very, very important. We can leverage that a directory of suspected numbers can be made available on the platform by telecom operators. This is already available, but I think, there needs to be a system to be created that, it's compulsory used by the banking institutions. And last but not least is, OTT communications. This at present is not being, regulated, but I think, we have received a reference from the DOT and will be issuing a consultation paper. What I consider that, not TRAI alone cannot do anything. TRAI will be required to work with the regulators, which I mentioned, within India, but much more than that. There is a lack of international collaboration on the issue of spam, phishing, and the, financial frauds. This is what we require, and we are working on that. I think, we need to work with the international regulators. We are discussing with some of the regulators. So this is what I would like to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I think those were phenomenal thoughts from your side, sir, and that has actually helped me set the stage as well, because you have not only covered some of the challenges but also hinted on some of the solutions. So the way I will try and organize my whole session is, try to work with first probably Balaji, from an operator perspective, and someone who's actually driving digital experience, okay, for customers. It's very important for you to filter some of the challenges, spams, counterfeits, and some of the challenges that the entire A2P messaging market is actually facing. And you have done a lot. I mean, actually, you worked with the regulator to actually put all these the platform and filters in place. But from your the way you look at it from an operator perspective, how are you seeing this space not as a not only as a transformation lever for you to drive customer experience, but also to address some of the challenges that your ground root customers are facing? So, any thoughts on how this has evolved in the last 3 years, specifically after some of the initiatives that you have taken along with the regulator?
Thank you so much, KG, on this particular thing. I think Chairman Sir has absolutely laid the foundation very, very well for this particular discussion. Let me start by saying that the TRAI has been literally at the forefront of some of these technological adoptions for a very long time, and the government again has been very, very supportive of some of these initiatives. And together they have actually helped us as industry progress in such a way that as the digitalization pace is going up, that there is consumer protection at the heart of everything we do. Frankly, as a telecom operator who is a licensed player, we've been extremely, should I say, conscious of our responsibility towards our consumers. We operate at scale. We, as an industry, have, of course, more than 1.1 billion subscriptions. My own company has 250 million subscribers. And the only reason we have lasted for 30 years as industry or as a company is because of the trust that people have, that what they share with us will always be kept in utmost confidence. And other than requirements which are related to government or national safety and security, there will be no compromise whatsoever. And therefore, digital tools has been something that's been in the DNA of us as operators. I think that is the first point I wanted to mention. And always we have found that TRAI and DOT are pushing us to the next level. And for that, sir, to you and your officers, we are extremely grateful. If I look at the DLT platform, it is again a classic case, which was where the regulator was actually not just discussing with us or other technology players on what the technology can do, but they were very, very focused. This is what I want to accomplish. And let us now discuss in a collaborative way how we will do it. How can we make the roadmap? How do we evolve it in that direction? So it is a fabulous example of that. But just before that, I'd like to mention 2 points. Number one is, sir so rightly talked about, the KYC. Imagine this government has actually, in spite of all the difficulties, gone back and got Aadhaar as a means for ensuring that we can tighten the whole KYC system. The moment you go to Aadhaar, it is much simpler, and it is, let me put it, nothing is foolproof. As sir said, we have to be always ahead of the spammers and the people who are malicious in nature. But 99.99% of the problems will solve. That's number one. And it is something that we had requested to the government and to regulator in 2012. It took a long time because there are a lot of concerns. But once the government and regulator says your concerns as citizens will be protected and we will take care of that, then the confidence comes in for the citizens to say, you know what, I agree with the convenience, I agree with my identity will be protected, and they trusted the operators to do so. Due to that, there's been a huge fall in the complaints earlier happening of identity being stolen of people or SIMs being identified. Third thing is around operations. We show operational efficiency as operators, which is zero tolerance to these kind of things. If we find anybody in the distribution system who's indulging in this, we take the strongest action. If there is any even inkling that someone in the system has done it from within our organization, it is dispassionately investigated, because everybody in our company knows if they are involved in anything which is inappropriate, let alone illegal, then there is only one thing: termination, and let the authorities take charge of what needs to be done to that person. So that is a zero tolerance thing, which we believe if we don't do it, then it can just become, it can dissipate into all kinds of malpractices that sir was referring to. Coming to the DLT itself, I think the fact that as industry we have understood and embraced it has allowed us to kind of progress to a significant extent. Outcome is that the UCC complaints have already come down in sir's time itself. If I have to say, in the last 12 to 14 months, it has come down to less than 15% to 20% of what it used to be before. And because he and his officers are always consciously reminding us, तुम लोगों ने बोला था क्या कर रहे हो? What is happening? Why is it getting delayed? Tell us how we can help you to become faster. Do you want us to speak to other ecosystem players? He is himself calling for meetings with the RBI chairman. How often does it happen that one regulator is calling the other regulator and saying, आप अपने banks को बुलाओ because they are sending a lot of the messages, surveys are promotional. I want to understand their point of view. We'll get their operators together and we'll solve the things. That kind of a collaboration that he was referring to itself makes our job easier. Due to that, even in the pandemic time, industry as a whole was able to continue to implement the various things. Before it was, the header scrubbing and those kind of things which were being done. We realized that the next thing was to get the platform done for the principal entities to get onboarded. That journey has continued even during the pandemic time. So in spite of all the other challenges, the work was not stopping on that front. Surely there is still work to be done. Unfortunately, not all the principal entities are yet onboarded. They have their own apprehensions, which are, I think, to my mind, as industry, we can say misplaced, because we have zero interest in finding out frankly, the amount of data that we have of our customers or as industry is a lot more than the principal entities have. But those apprehensions are there, but with Sir and the TRAI taking the lead with some of the regulators, in some cases, the government may have to insist upon the large PEs because they may not be having a regulator in that particular sector. And if those government, gives clear directions that you have to onboard by this time and things like that, then automatically the platform that has been created by industry as a whole, by each of the operators, will start to have the full impact of what is the vision which is there of, zero UCC complaints. But I think the direction is going the right way. And the last 1 year particularly has been fabulous. Even before that, progress was going on. And I'm quite confident that with the support and the direction that TRAI is taking and chair is giving us, and as industry that we are committed to, we will in the next few quarters, get there where the vision is to have zero or negligible UCC complaints.
Thank you, Balaji. I think Balaji mentioned a few very, very important points. He spoke about, how there can be governance and there are initiatives being taken. There are initiatives that they are jointly leading with the regulator as well. But what is very important here in the context of telecom service providers is that they are part of the larger ecosystem. They provide connectivity, but they are also dependent on the rest of the ecosystem. The entire A2P messaging market, just to get a sense, just to give everyone a sense, is more than a $600 million market for India itself. But globally, it's more than 43 billion. And you have a fair share of challenges when it comes to the kind of messaging that also gets delivered. You have SMS and you have evolving technologies like RCS and others, which are also going to impact. So whatever regulation actually is being administered needs to address all this. What is also important here, when I was brainstorming with the panelists, is there are two aspects of this entire regulation. One is the spam and how that is getting addressed, and second is how can it be monitored, the scan part of the entire part. And that's where, Mr. Bajpai, if I could come in, and before I go to Mr. Virmani and the rest of the panelists for the solutions, how are you seeing this entire solution evolving? Because when we started off in 2018, when there was the D&D regulation and how that was transformed and how currently it's getting operated, you faced a lot of challenges on adoption. You had to bring in a lot of awareness in the platform itself, the capability of the platform. You also worked on interoperability with other platform providers. So can you share with us what kind of initiatives have been taken and how are you seeing this problem getting addressed? And then obviously the larger awareness problem is something that all of us have to solve for. But if you could give some sense to our audience on what kind of initiatives have been driven since the regulation has come in, and how can someone adopt it as well?
Thanks. You mentioned the journey and how it has happened briefly, and the challenges that we faced. To my mind, that's not relevant. To my mind, that's not relevant where we have reached, because whatever we may do, whatever we have done, as the chairman said, will prove to be inadequate, and there will be something that we now need to do from where we stand, right? he gave a very interesting example that it's a disaster if you leave your mobile behind, and if it could be a disaster that you carried it because it became the source of the problem. Yes, and he mentioned the use of AI and ML. What do you use AI ML for? You could use it to detect spam quickly, fix the problem, and be fine. One example was you use spell check to figure out spelling mistakes. We had a spelling mistake on the title slide here. It took us 18 minutes to rectify it, and the spell check was run. Still, the problem happened, right? There is another way of looking at it using the same AI ML. Instead of finding who we want to disable, and I'm borrowing from the chairman's idea, we should find who we want to enable. What is it that we want to carry? Use the AI ML to make that happen. Identify the right person and make sure that identify that this communication is actually required by the person. Understand the person and fulfill that need from both sides, right? From the recipient and from the sender. And you won't have to find messages to kill because, well, there won't be such messages, right? So if this had been written by an intelligent system which figured out that driving can be the word, not dividing, you won't have to run the spell check, right? This can be created. And let me share something with you. The headline was actually created by an AI. It was. I was playing with GPT-3, so I put some text and said, okay, suggest a discussion for this panel. It came up correctly, and then we meddled with it and got a mistake, right? Because the mistake is being caught by a system which is looking at spelling errors, whereas the generation of the headline itself is by a system which is trying to generate it, right? Which is trying to look ahead at the requirement. So what I'm saying is, let us look in that direction, and that's profitable for everyone. It's profitable for the spammers. It's not profitable for scammers, but we don't want them to be profitable, right? It's profitable for everyone. It solves the problem in a different way. So I think we need to think differently. And to all of you who are sitting here, I would say that all of you have personal knowledge of spam, of course, and I hope you don't have personal experience of scam. You have personal knowledge of spam. You have a viewpoint on it, and you have heard the viewpoints of some of us, and you'll hear more viewpoints, and you'll find more thoughts forming. I've been thinking about it for 4 or 5 years now. Every thought is incomplete. Every thought is incomplete. Every thought has a other side to it, and there is a problem with it. It is the nature of this problem. It will not get solved because we think we've got a solution. We've thought that we had a solution multiple times in the past, and we didn't get it. And there are 150 countries in the world trying to solve this problem. They haven't solved it, right? They haven't solved it. So we need to constantly think. We constantly need to think ahead. We need to accept that there will be an arms race. There will be a problem, and the nature of the problem will continuously evolve. So that's what I see. Therefore, I didn't answer your question as to what we did and what challenges we faced. We should not look at that. We should look at the challenges that are ahead, also the opportunities that are ahead, right? And move in that direction. That, I think, would be a more relevant thing to think of, and I hope I have given you some food for thought in that direction to everybody. Right, thanks. I'll rest here.
So clearly, self-governance is not the solution. There has to be governance. There has to be someone actually putting in more emphasis on technology, using AI more effectively, and at the same time putting some regime to the entire process. So the consent and preference management was introduced for the first time as part of the TCCPR. How effectively is that being administered is very important. But I'll come to Deepak. Deepak actually has, when you were sharing some experiences with me on how he's driven it, it is quite fascinating on, how what kind of challenges you actually face on the ground, and how has he very innovatively tried to solve it, and there are some solutions that he's actually come up with to solve this problem. So Deepak, if I could request you, in the context of A2P messaging and some of the challenges and frauds that you have seen, what kind of magnitude that you have seen, what could have been the root cause of that problem, and how have you tried to mitigate it? You will not solve it completely, but how have you tried?
Thank you. Good evening, sir, and my distinguished panelists and the delegates present here. I represent a body called as Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, that's I4C, which is a part of Ministry of Home Affairs, MHA. We are primarily the agency which is into the prevention of cybercrime across the country. So the primary aim of this organization is coordination. Perhaps it was felt that the key to prevent the crimes is the coordination among the various stakeholders. As Chairman TRAI sir has also mentioned that now they are having interaction with multiple regulators also. So we are in touch with the state police authorities, majority of the regulators including RBI, then many of the government departments, banks, TSPs, wallets, UPI, etc. We also, MHA, under the regime of the Honorable Union Home Minister, we launched a portal that's called as National Cybercrime Reporting Portal. It's simply called as www.cybercrime.gov.in. So this is a common portal across the country for the citizens to register any kind of cybercrime complaints. So be it the financial fraud, be it the morphing on the Facebook platform or the any social media platform, or be it any kind of cybercrime. So there's a common portal across the country. Once the complaint is filed on this portal, it reaches on the real-time basis to the police station where the citizen has opted for. So the common dashboard provides the platform at the level of district to monitor such complaints, at the level of state, and at the level of central also. So this portal was launched somewhere in August 2019, and during this journey of around 3 years, we have registered more than 13.5 lakh complaints. So these complaints, when we analyze, it was found out that more than 50% of the complaints relate to the financial cybercrime, and the remaining 50% are relating to different kinds of other cybercrimes. So this portal also gives us a dashboard and as to what kind of the modus operandi is existing at present in relation to the crime happening in the country, the cybercrime part. So then it gives us details of what kind of spam messages are being sent, what is misuse being done, and which are the hotspots across the country. Second important part of our ministry is a helpline number 1930. So if anyone has heard about this helpline number, kindly raise your hand. Anyone who has heard about the helpline number? So thank you. So this validates my presence here. We have not been able to propagate the helpline number across the country. This is a very important helpline number, and what we say is that in case of any financial fraud, maybe it's like a money going out of the wallet or the UPI or the bank or any cyber financial fraud, don't go to the bank, don't go to the wallets, don't go to the UPI, come to 1930. So 1930 exists across the country. All 36 states and UTs are manning it, and primarily they are being manned by respective police officials across the country. So as of now, in some of the states is running during the office hours, and what we realize is that the fraudsters also know our office hours, and they try to siphon off the money in the evenings or maybe on the weekends. So we have requested all the states and UTs that the helpline number should work on 24/7 basis. So the states are in the process of increasing their manpower to man the helpline number 1930. So our important part is to propagate the helpline number 1930 for any kind of cyber financial fraud. On the corollary in this, we also requested the banks, the UPI service providers, the e-commerce companies to also help us, the state police authorities, on 24/7 basis. The beauty of this helpline number is that we have more than 135 banks, all the important banks, cooperative banks or the small finance banks or the nationalized commercial banks, all UPI service providers, majority of the e-commerce companies like Snapdeal, Flipchart, Amazon, etc. They are on this platform. So when a call comes to us, it reaches the concerned, it reaches to the concerned state. we capture whatever little evidence a citizen is able to provide as to how the financial fraud has happened. So the citizen can say that a call came to me, I clicked on some SMS which came to me, and then my money was siphoned off. So very small evidence is captured, and we try to generate a token and send it to the concerned bank from where the money was siphoned off. So the money, normally the fraudster takes the money from A to B to C to D and to the fifth bank, and then the money is taken out either through purchases or through the money is withdrawn from the ATM counters. So the command flows from one bank to another, so that we try to stop the flow of money. Fortunately, sir, we started this last year post second COVID wave in July 2021, and then we tried to integrate all these states and UTs in a phased manner. So till date, we have been able to save around 135 crore rupees on this platform, and that's why we are trying to propagate this helpline number so that it reaches the masses, and we try to stop the flow of money. The third important part is Union Home Secretary Saab has also written to all the states, to the DGPs, to the Chief Secretaries of States and UTs, as well as to all the secretaries to the Ministry of Government of India, to celebrate Cyber Jagrukta Divas. Primarily what was felt was that we need to propagate a lot of cyber hygiene across the country. And prevention perhaps is the punchline for preventing of the crime. So we requested all the entities, all the ministries, states and UTs to celebrate Cyber Jagrukta Divas on first Wednesday of every month, and maybe from 11 AM onwards. So fortunately, sir, majority of the states and UTs and the ministries have prepared their annual action plan, and they are trying to inculcate the cyber hygiene across the entities. On 6th of October this year, that is after 3-4 days, we'll be celebrating the 1 year of Cyber Jagrukta Divas, and majority of the functions you will be seeing across the country for the cyber hygiene. So we'll try to propagate the hygiene part. For example, do not share PIN, do not share your OTP, do not scan QR code for getting the money which is not there. And then we try to inculcate this in all schools, colleges, panchayat raj institutions, municipalities, etc. So this is primarily the major part of our organization for prevention of crime. As far as the spam part is concerned, as sir mentioned that we normally receive all kinds of fraud messages. So I have around 20 odd messages with me, and 18 of them relate to the financial spam messages. So what we feel is that the DLT part is an outstanding part, sir. I'm basically an engineer from IIT Delhi, so I know that it's a very good technology, and the AML part is also an outstanding part for this such a platform. This is the way we can reach to the masses. What is happening is that the principal entity, we feel that there has to be a strong KYC for registration of the principal entities under the DLT platform. And secondly, there should be less number of variables in the messages which are being sent. So there has been lots of misuse of the variable part of the messages. And sometimes even since the KYC has not been done properly, there are some fly-by-night operators who come overnight, and then they become the principal entity and send lots of SMSs. So there has to be strong KYC for the principal entities. Instances have also come to us where headers have also been misused. So these headers, they have been certain businesses which were sending SMSs, and they were not doing this business. For example, we caught hold of a clinic, sir, a dental clinic, who was sending SMS for part-time job. So there have been cases of the headers being misused, and the templates because of the variable parts, sir. So I think, sir, all the stakeholders have to work together so that there needs to be stringent KYC norms for the principal entities. We need to have some policy, maybe some policy can be revised for the telemarketers as well as for the SMS aggregators, sir. One point also like to flag, sir, is the issue of the SIM box, sir. So SIMbox is an outstanding technology in terms of sending lots of messages, sir. Somehow these SIM boxes are also being misused by the fraudsters to send bulk messages also. So some kind of norms or some kind of registration we feel, sir, may be also good for the telemarketers as well as the SIM boxes, so that the such kind of SMSs are not sent by misusing the DLT technologies. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your initiatives, Deepak. Vineet, if I could come to you. Firstly, if you could, tell everyone about the initiatives that you've taken. Social engineering turns out to be one of the most popular way of actually committing cyber frauds. Um, Many of us have been victims of it, and I was almost going to become a victim of it, but because I am in this space, I could actually prevent myself to get defrauded. But can you try and explain to everyone the solutions that you are trying to drive, and if there are anything that you would say as a clear differentiator that has to be integrated into the platform that is being driven for messaging, that will really help our conversation.
Thank you. And it's a pleasure and privilege to be here in part of this eminent panel. Uh, at CyberPeace Foundation, we are a grassroots NGO as well as a policy think tank trying to work on all aspects of cyber, like cyber, talking about peace in the cyberspace and talking about different issues that the cyberspace has. So that's the kind of work that we do, try to engage with different stakeholders, entity, industries, academia, civil society, governments, and also netizens at large, so that we understand the issues on the ground and then kind of reach out to regulators, reach out to the governments, reach out to the right people and stakeholders, so that victim is given relief on the ground, which is the utmost importance. Now, Deepak sir asked about one question, how many of you know about 1930? I'll ask one question from my side, that have you heard about Jamtara? Anyone? Have you seen? Can I see your hands? Probably. Yeah, right. So fine. I'll take up that question. But I just wanted to share. I come from the state of Jharkhand, and Jamtara is one such hotbed. But I would say now, when Deepak sir is right here, but what we see on the ground is, in fact, there are many hotbeds like this that are coming. Jamtara is the most popular one, so that's why you hear Jamtara everywhere. But frankly speaking, wherever you go, whether you go in the east, you go in the west, north and south, you'll have many clones of Jamtara coming up. So that's basically how the ecosystem system is developing. The second question, not the question, but in fact, it's a fact that I wanted to share, taken out from a report, that today nearly 84.14% of the world's total email traffic is categorized as spam. So that's the number. The second one, in fact, is from the caller ID and identification app called Truecaller, and it mentioned that it has identified around 37.8 billion spam calls globally in the year 2021, an increase of 20% compared to the previous year. So that's the number that is going up. And the cases of spam getting converted into scam is now much more. So like I mentioned about the hotbed, there is a project that we run. It's called Project E-Kavach, which is a cyber threat intelligence research project. Under this, in fact, we set up a small quick reaction team during COVID times, when a lot of people were getting duped in the name of oxygen cylinders and vaccines. So we set up this team, and under this team, in fact, we were able to find out about the campaigns that are running, different campaigns. Like you must have heard about their different applications called an instant loan applications, and through that, in fact, they offer you loans collateral free. The moment you click on that, it takes access to your entire phone, entire set of information that is there in the phone. And then further, if you don't pay, whether you pay or don't pay, it doesn't matter to them. They start blackmailing you in some form. And sometimes it also leads to the loss of life. So that's where CyberPeace Foundation comes in. Like you have a reporting portal at MHA, but there are many cases which are not reported. There are victims who don't go and report, despite we pushing them that you need to report. Reporting is important. People don't report it. And also I see there are some media reports also that highlight that in such city, the cases of cybercrime has gone up, which is taken negatively, which I feel is wrong. It should be taken positively, because the number of cases going up and reporting, that means the reporting is going up. That means more and more people are vigilant and they're reporting the cases, which is something that I like to share, and it should be the practice now. But I see there are societal issues. There are problems with people on the ground. They say that if people get to know about certain thing, and there will be issues in the society, like a girl not getting married and all that. So they reach out to us. And that is a huge number. We have a small helpline with around just 5 people kind of assisting victims on the ground. And I see on an average used to be around 4 or 5 calls per day. Now it has increased to around 70, 80 calls where people are reaching out for help and assistance in cyber financial frauds. That's, again, as sir suggested, that's stopping the number for us also. But there are calls, there are calls related to, say, non-consensual revenge porn. There are cyber crimes like that where people are reaching out and kind of sharing content, and then finally they kind of seek some kind of help or assistance from somebody to kind of get the cases resolved. So those kind of cases are coming where people are kind of reaching out for help. Issues like the dating sites, there are many dating sites that are kind of circulating about themselves via SMSs and other mediums. And ultimately, we have seen that many of these dating sites also kind of lead to, say, sextortion, or for example, trafficking of humans also. So all of that, it's not just the financial losses, but it also leads to trafficking of humans also. So all of that is a big problem and concern for us. So we have been busting different kind of scams, working with, again, law enforcement, working with the governments, working with netizens to kind of unearth these kind of scams and provide relief to the victims on the ground. I'll kind of echo what Sir said, Chairman TRAI said. Trust and confidence among the netizens is something that we need to work, and we need to work together as different organization, entities, stakeholders. We need to work together because 5G is coming. It's already launched. It's coming up in a big way. And we are going to connect the unconnected population here. We are going to reach out to the tribal areas, the first time users of tech. So imagine if a case of financial fraud or something happens with, say, an entity, or maybe if an individual who is residing in a remote area. So for them, it's like anything that comes through tech is something that they believe. And if something goes wrong with them, they'll try to stay away from those tech. So the confidence, I mean, increasing trust and confidence is something that is very much required. Secondly, tech like, new tech like Metaverse, Web 3.0. Now we also need to research on how scams or spams can utilize, say, Web 3.0, utilize the arena of Metaverse and kind of impact people. So that's something that we need to constantly research on. Again, I'll echo to my fellow stakeholders what they said. International cooperation with different stakeholders is the need of the hour. And I would say not just international, but national cooperation also. And cooperation just not limiting it to the government entities, but going beyond the government, industry, academia, civil society. So we are different arms, and we need to come together to kind of make sure that we fight spam and we fight scam as well.